This policy dictates that third world nations take positive and effective steps to decrease their populations and hold them in check, or they'll get no aid from the United States. If the third world nations refuse, civil war usually breaks out, and the rebels are usually found to be trained, armed, and financed by the Central Intelligence Agency. That is why many more civilians, especially young fertile females, than soldiers, have been killed in El Salvador, Nicaragua, and other places. These wars have been instigated in Catholic countries by Jesuits. The Haig-Kissinger depopulation policy has taken over various levels of government and is in fact determining U.S. foreign policy. The planning organization operates outside the White House and directs its entire efforts to reduce the world's population by 2 billion people through war, famine, disease, and any other means necessary. This group is the National Security Council's ad hoc group on population policy. The policy planning staff is in the State Department's Office of Population Affairs, established in 1975 by Henry Kissinger. This same group drafted the Global 2000 report to the president that was given to Carter. Thomas Ferguson, the Latin American case officer for the State Department's Office of Population Affairs, made the following statements. There is a single theme behind all our work. We must reduce population levels. Either they do it our way, through nice, clean methods, or they'll get the kind of mess that we have in El Salvador, or in Iran, or in Beirut. Population is a political problem. Once population is out of control, it requires authoritarian government, even fascism, to reduce it. The professionals, stated Ferguson, aren't interested in lowering population for humanitarian reasons. That sounds nice. We look at resources and environmental constraints. We look at the strategic needs, and we say that this country must lower its population, or else we will have trouble. So steps are taken. El Salvador is an example where our failure to lower population by simple means has created the basis for a national security crisis. The government of El Salvador failed to use our programs to lower their population. Now they get a civil war because of it. There will be dislocation and food shortages. They still have too many people there. Civil wars are somewhat drawn-out ways to reduce population. The quickest way to reduce population is through famine, like in Africa, or through disease, like the Black Death, all of which might occur in El Salvador. Ferguson's budget for fiscal year 1980 was $190 million, and for fiscal year 1981 was $220 million. The Global 2000 report calls for doubling that figure. Henry Kissinger created this group after discussions with leaders of the Club of Rome during the 1974 population conferences in Bucharest and Rome. The Club of Rome is controlled by Europe's black nobility. Alexander Haig is a firm believer in population control. It was Haig that backed Kissinger and pushed the Office of Population Affairs into action. Ferguson said, "We will go into a country and say, here is your goddamn development plan. Throw it out the window. Start looking at the size of your population and figure out what must be done to reduce it. If you don't like that, if you don't want to choose to do something, if you don't want to choose to do it through planning, then you'll have an El Salvador or an Iran or worse, a Cambodia." The reason the Shah of Iran was overthrown was that his best efforts to institute clean programs of birth control failed to make a significant dent in the country's birth rate. The promise of jobs through ambitious industrialization programs encouraged migration toward overcrowded cities like Tehran. Under Ayatollah Khomeini, the clean programs have been dismantled. The government may make progress because it has a program to induce up to half of Tehran's 6 million residents to relocate. Iran's war with Iraq really pleased the OPA. Now you know about the Shah of Iran, and now you know part of the reason why we have troops in the Middle East. Marcos fell victim to the same policy, and we still have these troops in the Middle East. The population problem will be to curtail further human reproduction beyond approved levels. To handle that problem, the New World Order will adopt the communist Chinese model of population control. It is the only population control program that has ever worked. The old and infirm have been periodically murdered, and couples are forbidden to have more than one child. Penalties are so severe that families in China with 2 children are extremely rare. 3 children families are non-existent. A surprising byproduct is that Chinese children, as a group, are treated better than any other national grouping of children in the world, including the United States. Tobacco fields in the U.S. have been fertilized with radioactive hailings from uranium mines, resulting in a tremendous increase in the incidence of lip, mouth, throat, and lung cancer. If you do not believe it, just look at the incidence of lung cancer per capita before 1950 and compare it to lung cancer per capita at the present time. Are those who smoked committing suicide, or are they being murdered? Malathion, a nerve gas developed by the Nazis during World War II to kill people, is being sprayed heavily on population centers in California. The excuse used is that it will kill the Mediterranean fruit fly. The tip-off is that the orchards are not being sprayed, only people. The helicopters come from Evergreen in Arizona, a known government and suspected CIA base. The pilots are contract pilots furnished by Evergreen. Evergreen has been named as one of the bases where drugs are flown in from Central America. The city of Pasadena passed a law making it illegal to spray Malathion within the city limits. The law was ignored and the city took no action. When the people of California literally revolted against the spraying of Malathion, the governor of California stated that he did not have the power to stop the operation. What higher power is there that could prevent a governor of a state from halting the spraying of an insecticide? A warning was issued to cover up automobiles and belongings because Malathion could destroy paint, some plastics, and other property. How nice. People, they said, would not be injured. It is a lie. Of course. Like the chemtrails, ladies and gentlemen, the geoengineering that they just ignore, absolutely ignore. And it happens every day, and you've seen it, I'm sure. Whether you're awake or new to this information, you've seen those chemtrails in the sky. In the state of Colorado and elsewhere, dioxin is turning up in the drinking water in alarming levels. It should not be present in any amount. Where is it coming from? Dioxin is one of the deadliest chemicals known to man. Colorado citizens attempting to do battle against dioxin contamination are met with closed doors, denials, and attacks upon their character. We have watched the news in horror as story after story unfolded, revealing that the Army and the CIA had released germs and viruses into the population to test their biological warfare capability. Story after story unfolded, revealing that the Army and the CIA had released germs and viruses into the population to test their biological warfare capability. In light of what you have learned in this chapter, you should now know that it was really to reduce population. It is a matter of public record that investigations into cover-ups of radioactive leaks into the atmosphere and into groundwater have revealed that some leaks were not accidental, but were purposeful. Some areas of the country now have such a high rate of cancer that virtually everyone who lives in those areas will die other than a natural death. The true extent of radioactive gases, wastes, and toxic materials, especially cesium-137, strontium-90, uranium mine and mill tailings, thorium-230, radium-226, and radon-222 that has leaked or has been purposely planted in the atmosphere, soil, and groundwater is far beyond anything you or I can imagine. Every investigation has revealed that the true figures regarding radioactive leakage are much larger than official figures, and the real numbers may never be known. Think about Fukushima. Just off the radar completely, right? As we're being radiated. Interesting. I wouldn't eat anything from the ocean. Cover-up has become SOP, standard operating procedure, at all levels and in all departments of government. Do we dream reality? Or is reality a dream? According to Dr. Eva Sneed, the San Francisco Bay Area has one of the highest cancer rates in the world. The San Francisco Bay Area has been revealed as one of the primary test locations of the Central Intelligence Agency's biological and chemical programs. You may recall that Legionnaire's disease was an experimental bacteria released into the wind in San Francisco Bay from a government-operated boat. San Francisco is also one of the 6 known inoculation sites for the CIA Project MK Naomi, AIDS. The Bay Area was headquartered for Dr. Timothy Leary, who introduced the drug culture to the American youth under CIA Project MK Ultra. It is suspected that the San Francisco Bay Area was also subjected to large doses of radiation to test the effects upon a population over a prolonged period of time. Why do they hate San Francisco? The answer is that the largest homosexual population in America lives in San Francisco, and they have been targeted for extermination. The obvious conclusion would be that any kind of compromise leading to coexistence is better than any kind of nuclear exchange. In other words, better red than dead. This is exactly what the hierarchy has decided. Only the New World Order will not be red. This is exactly what the hierarchy has decided. Only the New World Order will not be red. It will be fascist. It will in fact be a socialist, totalitarian state. It is hoped that a natural metamorphosis will eventually occur. The Illuminati hope that it will result in a paradigm shift of the evolutionary consciousness of man. This could cause the formation of a state where no government is needed, where anarchy is not feared. They dream that the end result will be the New World Order that Christ taught, but that the Christian religion prevents. It is ironic that the Illuminati actually believe that this can evolve from a plan built upon such suffering. Christ suffered, if the New Testament is true, to bring about his world. And if he suffered, maybe it is necessary that we also suffer. I am not wise enough to know the answer. The New World Order will eliminate the population threat in several ways. Complete control of individual behavior may be established using electronic or chemical implants. No one will be allowed to have a child without permission. Stiff penalties wait for those who ignore the law. The violent, the old, the infirm, the handicapped, and the unproductive will be killed. Private property will be abolished. Since religion helped create the population problem, it will not be tolerated except for the approved state-controlled religion, which will evolve according to man's needs. Joseph Campbell explains this concept excellently in his series with Bill Moyers called The Power of Myth. Cash will disappear, and with it most crime will also disappear, but total control of each individual will be the price we pay. Man cannot be trusted to safeguard what little is left in the way of natural resources. Technological development and economic growth will be severely cut back. Man will be required to live like his ancestors. Those who learn to be self-sufficient can adapt to the absence of many of the things that we take for granted today, such as automobiles. We'll get along fine. Others will suffer terribly. Man will once again conform to the law of survival of the fittest. No one is going to like the loss of individual freedoms guaranteed us by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I do not like or agree with what is planned. Intellectually, I know that people will not solve the problems that we face unless they are made to do it. That is a sad commentary on the common man, but nevertheless is true. The New World Order is evil, but very much needed if man is to survive long enough to plant his seed amongst the stars. A paradigm shift and star seed are the only legitimate long-term answers. This is why we have all been so wrong for so long. It never was what we thought it was. Nothing is or ever will be until we learn to live in reality instead of fantasy land. A paradigm shift in the evolutionary consciousness of man must take place, right or wrong. The world is covered with agents of the Illuminati who are attempting to cause that evolutionary jump. We have not been taken into their confidence. We have been judged too stupid to understand. It is true that without the population or the bomb problem, or the elect would use some other excuse to bring about the New World Order. They have plans to bring about things like earthquakes, wars, the Messiah, an extraterrestrial landing, and economic collapse. They might bring about all of these things just to make damn sure that it does work. They will do whatever is necessary to succeed. The Illuminati have all the bases covered, and you're going to have to be on your toes to make it through. Stay tuned for the conclusion of Anatomy of an Alliance.